Where's Hosh? Good evening. Welcome to Around the World with Dee and Friends. Tonight, not Denardi, I'm sorry, Hashmed. Hashmed will be joining me and we'll be discussing Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Iran, Syria, West Asia in general. I sent a link also to Wayne Santoban, so waiting for them to come in. And right now, what I'm going to do is share the show out. Let everybody know I'm live. We're live here, everybody. And how's everybody doing? As I quickly share the show around. It's so sad, this world we live in. So many people are so distressed with everything. And I know exactly how they feel because I'm just very upset as well with everything. We live in just a very cold world. Like, where is the concern for others? Where's empathy? I just don't understand the callousness and the coldness and the conversations about when something horrific happens and they condemn and condemn and condemn and condemn for year upon year upon year with no action to stop the party that's doing the evil. It's just, it really is maddening that this is the world we live in. Such coldness and callousness. It just seems that when certain, there's just like a club. Not only some lives matter, not all lives matter. And it's just so sickening and evil. And that's when we say about Palestinians that we're all Palestinians. Yes. Do you really think any of them, as Iran calls them, the Epstein class, do you think they really care about any of us? They don't. It's their own little clique, and they would do the same to us around the world as they're doing to the Palestinians. These people are just so evil. No respect for human life at all. I'm sharing the show now to some groups here while waiting for everybody to come in here. Just letting people know I'm live. That's always good. Okay. Let me see. Sharing as quickly as I can. As I am just so furious with what's going on in the world. And the callousness and the coldness, the evilness. And I just think every day of the people in Gaza. Every single day around the clock, what they're going through. And according to the agreement, they should have already had shelter. They should have been those, where they manufactured homes, temporary homes for people till they get their homes rebuilt. People should have had shelter. There should be food. There should be medical. We talk about human rights, the same as you'd want for yourself. They should be having food, shelter, they needed medication. They shouldn't be bombed. They shouldn't be shot at. But it seems that Team USA and Israel just don't seem to respect human rights at all. And when we look at the U.S., who are they sending around? They're sending around real estate people for negotiations. You have Jared Kushner and you have Woodcuff. It's sick. They're both Zionist, and they're more concerned about real estate. Everything is looked at in their eyes from gaining land instead of um, a humanitarian viewpoint. They don't care. They have no souls. They have no heart. Jared Kushner speaking with Hamas people in a meeting. It made absolutely no sense at all. You might as well just send somebody over from Israel to talk to Hamas, because what the hell is the U.S. doing? The U.S. it's disgusting, and the White House itself, as I've said many times, there should be representatives from people from different countries. If you're talking to the Middle East or some say West Asia, there should be representatives from those countries in the White House. They just have Zionists in there. They don't have Palestinians in Trump's White House. I don't think they have it in Biden's White House either. So it's an extremely biased perspective. And when it comes to Iran, is there anybody that from Iran in the White House? No. You, all you have is the Zionist perspective. You don't have any other perspective in the White House. And yeah, and they act like they know it all. Recently, had seen as well that the Pentagon map of the region. Oh, guess what? There was no Palestine there. All they had was Gaza, the West Bank. East Jerusalem was all considered Israel, and that's in the U.S. government. The U.S. government, the Pentagon. You talk about cluelessness. They're acting like that's theirs, that's part of Israel. And it's not. They do not have the correct information where international law is concerned. And this is the problem, because you have Zionists in there controlling the White House instead of having representatives from different countries there. Okay, here's Wayne. Hey, Wayne, how you doing?
Not too bad, Dee. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm sharing the show out right now.
I was actually just going to tell you, Dee, that I got notification of my appointment coming up next month to which I'm happy about my nose.
Oh, good.
Got a bit of a issue going on with my nose at the moment. It needs another procedure. So I'm pretty happy to hear from him now.
Yeah, that sounds
I've just
good.
had a coffee with my lawyer friend this morning, and we were talking a few things about, that they've actually, I suppose I better tell you what's happened. The Supreme Court of New South Wales have made a ruling that it's not anti-Semitic to say F Israel.
Oh.
And that Zionism is Jews who are against Zionism is quite okay,
Right. Well, because we do that with all countries. People get angry at a particular country and they'll say F whatever country. So
because when we start the show, Dee, I was going to talk about this fact that Huckabee's not acting on this what's going on in the West Bank, you know?
Well, Huckabee, he did call them terrorists. He said the settlers were terrorists,
Okay.
and they want Netanyahu to acknowledge that
Yeah.
and to stop what's going on there. But Netanyahu's going to do what Netanyahu wants. This is an election year,
Mm.
and the people they're rallying up people, and a lot of the people just want that whole area to be Israel. So so he's trying to get all their votes. Um,
Mm.
so that's why you're seeing a lot of this horrible stuff that are being
Yeah.
said. That's been said by Ben Gavir, by Smotrich. They're trying to rile up their far right bases.
Mm.
Like, who can say the most evil thing?
And also, I've seen something pretty disgusting. Apparently, someone's calling for Hiroshima to be the size of Hiroshima to be just dropped on Gaza, finish them all off.
That's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Just talk about that.
It is. And they don't think something's going to happen to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they do that, and they think nothing's going to happen to them, eh? Well,
Yeah.
they got they'll see what happens. I've seen also another video, Dee, that the Israelis have been shooting off missiles and they've been backfiring. They've been coming back down on them. So yeah, they've got a lot of problems.
Oh, they do. And one's trying to outdo the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, evil to outdo evil. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Trump's not helping the matters, he's just inflaming the situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's not compromising on anything, is he?
No. He's pretty much listens to what his son-in-law says. What Jared Kushner says, and I'm like, this is sickening because here you have Jared Kushner and Steve Woodcock. Both of them have real estate backgrounds.
Yeah, I know.
They have real estate backgrounds. They should not be there negotiating on anything. You should have experts there, and you should have different people from the region in the White House and was negotiating. Everything is the Zionist perspective.
You know who'd be a good negotiator if he hired him? Is Colonel McGregor,
Yes.
Colonel McGregor would be a good person to have as a negotiator.
Mm-hmm. Hi, and Evelina's here, and Lorena Gamboa is here. She says, hi, good to be part of a community of like-minded people looking for justice for Palestine. Exactly. And
exactly.
What gets me is all this condemnation all the time. All these people condemn, and it's like, we are so past that stage of condemnation. Action is needed on the ground. Somebody's got to do something where Israel is concerned. I mean, it's just maddening. Evelina says rumors that the U.S. officials planning limited nuke attacks on Iran. I had seen something about that a couple of weeks ago. And like you said, it was rumors. It's just all this talk. And because they ran out of a lot of the supplies they need, the weapons they need. So they look at it as a smaller nukes. I mean, nukes are nukes. It's just ridiculous. And the thing is, if they think that they're going to be using nukes, well, guess what? You got Pakistan and, China, Russia, North Korea. Everybody said, if anybody does anything to Iran where nukes are concerned, they're going to hear it from.
Well, you know what I reckon, Dee? If they start using a tactical nuke on Tehran or on that Pickaxe Mountain, I reckon that'll be the end of Israel.
Oh, yeah, it will be. And the thing with Israel had said, what Netanyahu says, if Israel goes down, everybody goes down. That's his statement. That's what Netanyahu.
Yeah, I know.
You know, this is
It's a
just so.
worry, isn't it?
It is. It's just so evil.
Mm,
Why they can't live in peace? I'm sure the people would live in peace. Um, you've got this government, and you've got all this brainwashing going on from the when the kids are a young age. They
mm.
brainwash them with such hatred for their neighbors.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's the
I
problem.
just shared a video that I found on Telegram in your subscribers group, and in the schools it indoctrinated to hate Arabs.
They do.
You know, in the
It's
schools, and there. So it's basically what I can gather is the Jewish schools are indoctrinated with the Torah and they're just for this hate, like a bit like the madrasas, you know.
hmm
I've actually got to tell you a terrible story. A young girl who's a virgin has been sentenced to death by the courts in Iran, and they're going to defile her before they execute her. You know,
where'd you hear
that's
that from?
sorry.
Where'd you hear that from?
It was actually in our Palestinian. It was a post in our Palestinian Action Group, too.
Okay, because I didn't hear anything about that.
No, no. Well, it sounds like it's. Yeah, I hadn't heard this before I read it, but it's pretty awful if it's true. You know, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is true.
Yeah, because I haven't, because I belong in many chats on Telegram, and I haven't
Mm.
seen anything about that. And
Yeah,
and it had
right,
usually stuff like that circulates quickly.
right. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's just a vicious rumor, but
Mhm.
but as you know, they've killed a lot of people, the regime, and they're not all goody two shoes.
Well, I know because they've sentenced people to death. Yes, and there was
Mm,
an accident, not an accident. There was a person, for the people that were hit, but there was an Iranian man that went and plowed down a bunch of people,
yeah.
and yes, he was sentenced to death for that.
Mm.
So when it comes to violence and people committing violence on others, they
And
don't miss.
apparently, what you were saying about Kushner, he was without Witkoff, but he's had a meeting with Herzog and some officials from Israel, and they're working on this plan for Gaza, but the peace plan. But why do they keep using this word peace all the time? Because you know they they say one thing, and Israel turn around and start doing all sorts of vile things again.
Yes, they continue.
Mm, mm,
You know.
mm. Yeah, they're I don't know. I can't. I wish they could just all move on. Get out of there and go and I don't know, form some enclave somewhere else in the world.
Right, because they won't they will have these so-called agreements, and
Mm,
then the other party has to keep up the agreement, but they keep doing what they're doing. They don't stop doing what they're doing, but the other party has,
yeah. Mm,
and that's what's wrong, and nobody holds them accountable.
no.
And it's really Europe and the US's fault.
Mm. It's both the European Commission and the UN and the US. They're all inept. They're like this thing about issuing arrest warrants all the time. I've seen it again, Dee.
Yeah.
This bloke who's still operating in the one who got accused of being unsavory behaviour with women or something. That Khan, he's
hmm
still he's still the head of the International Criminal Court, and he's come out again wishing you know, issuing arrest warrant on Netanyahu, but no one acts on it.
Well, yeah, and the thing was, that's what Israel did. Israel's the one and the U.S. were the ones that were behind that. That a lot of people don't believe that he committed any crimes. They're just saying that
Mm.
it was Israel trying to get him off the court.
Well, this
Because,
latest one, D, is actually for him and Yoav Gallant,
yeah,
for the complicity in the Alaska flood operation,
right.
to
And
commit because everyone knows it's just Israel who lie about all this all the time now. Everyone knows the truth.
yes,
Although I shouldn't really say everyone, because I was explaining this to my lawyer friend this morning, that everything's about woke and cancel culture now. If you say something that goes against the narrative, that's especially against, is taken as anti-Jewish. You can't say anything about, like, I think you know the point I'm trying to make.
yes.
You can't say anything against Israel, like because they've become so entrenched in, this. I don't know. I just don't understand why America, and this hasn't suddenly just happened. It's been going on since Kennedy's time. Like
Right.
like like my friend I had a coffee with this morning was just saying that there's a lot of Jewish people in our eastern suburbs in Sydney, and they've gone against a book. Just a book's come out that's
Hmm.
apparently, according to the Jewish people, is anti-Semitic because it's criticizing Zionism, and
It's,
Israel, and
exactly. And this is about books. There's books about many different subjects, for and against different groups.
mm.
And anytime anybody says something against Zionism, it's like this big deal is made.
Yeah, like they make a big deal if you say anything again. What's I wish someone would come out and really say what's so great about Zionism.
And it's such a small group percentage of the world that it's ridiculous. It really is. And you know something, with the ICC, when they went after Putin right in the beginning, when that with
Mm.
Russia Ukraine, oh, you didn't have all this complaints. The U.S. was all on board, and it was.
Yeah.
And now look at what Gaza and the West Bank, East
Mm.
Jerusalem, and it's like, and the U.S. is defending it.
Mm. Mm.
I mean, it's sick.
They're the instigators of it all.
Yeah, and giving money to it and everything else.
Mm. Taking them on. Actually, I was going to tell you, Dee, that there's something that could develop into being a bit of a nasty situation between Russia and the UK, because Putin's now got all the intelligence through his, they don't call it the KGB anymore, but the internal Russian security service, that about the British drones are being used by Ukraine against Russia. So Putin's, I don't know what he's going to do, but I don't think whatever he's got planned could be very pleasant for the UK.
Mhm. And the UK is ridiculous. They really are, because they were getting their a lot of products from Russia, especially when it came to energy, their gas, oil,
Mm.
and because the US told them not to, that they're paying
Yeah.
more for it because they
Mm.
to back away from Russia, and
Yeah.
they're supporting Ukraine. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. And
Mm.
Ukraine, this whole thing from the start, because Ukraine had a good deal with Russia, and so the U.S. had to overthrow it. Whereas before, um, the democratically elected person had, when it came to a loan,
Mm.
it would have been an interest-free loan from Russia,
Mm.
where the IMF has all this interest on it. So when the democratically elected person um, won, that was going to take the loan from Russia, that's when the
Mm.
U.S. had to overthrow him and put in who
Mm.
they put in, and now they're stuck in IMF debt. and the country's been destroyed.
Yeah.
So I mean, the West is no good.
Mm. Actually, can I put a proposition to you, Dee, and to the chat, the two ladies in the chat? Do or we could even have a vote in it. Do you think that Thomas Massey should put his head should put his hat in the ring to run for presidency in 28? Because a lot of people would like him to do it.
We'll have to see when 2028 comes around.
Mm. Because normally the nominations have to go. I would have thought have to go in pretty soon with the midterms, and the midterms is pretty key to a lot of this, isn't it?
Well, he shouldn't run as a Republican.
No,
He should
no,
go
I agree. Maybe he could run on the Greens ticket or something.
Well, an independent libertarian type.
Or independent, yeah, absolutely. I agree, Dee.
Because forget about it. I mean, the Republican Party right now, oh, they've got their chips behind Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz. I'm like the most vile, disgusting people. That's who the Republicans
Right.
are screaming for.
Mm. Really, we really need a big shake-up worldwide in politics. We need to, because we got the same problem we got the same problem in Australia, Dee, that we've got the two-party system. It's flawed. It's like my friend actually told me about a book called Autocracy Inc.
Mm.
And everything is, including especially your republic, my Australia, everything is an autocracy now. There's no such thing as a democracy. Like, I'll just give you one, for instance, in my country. We were the first country in the world to really care about our disabled people.
Right.
And by having a thing called the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Now the Liberals have just passed in our Australian Parliament, and they've gone along with Labor and
Mm-hmm.
for huge cutbacks on it to kick a lot of people off it. And one of those people is actually me, Dee.
Oh no.
And I mean, I was telling my friend this morning, I can quite easily cope because I got this good inheritance from my late mother's estate,
Right.
that I've kept afloat and pretty well, and so I could cope with it. But obviously, I would struggle a little bit more, with.
Right.
But I definitely cope without it, Dee. But my friend wouldn't cope. He didn't have it. I suppose what I'm saying is I could cope, but
Mm-hmm.
but my friend wouldn't cope as well, Mm.
Now,
Anyway,
everything is
I'm
to
just
make things,
digressing.
but everything to make things harder and harder for people. It's like that whole austerity thing.
Mm.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a situation now, Dee, where I'm actually a senior now, being 67. Although I'm a youngish 67, I feel more. Although my body's not as, my knees and things aren't as great as they were, but I feel more 55 than 67, and like, I don't want to go to a nursing home. And yeah, I get people from time to time ask me, "Oh, who looks after you?" Well, I do. It'd be nice to have someone to care for and them to care back for me, but it's not getting any easier for me.
No.
Actually, if you want to know the truth, I connected with the actress Scarlett Johansson, and I've reconnected with her again. And she seems happy about it. She's in New York.
Okay. No, they don't care. We're in just a very selfish stage.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, but anyways, any news? Any latest news? I was actually just going to say, Dee, I haven't looked into. I have been a bit busy. I haven't looked into what's happened with these two ballistic missiles that have gone into UAE. Have they? Maybe we can look for an article on that, because I don't know if they've just gone into the base there or what's happened with that.
I heard there was something. We'll have to look into it, but there was something about Israel involved
All right. I
as
see.
a tactic, a
All
psyop.
right. That'd be right.
Let me go over to X and see if there's anything on it.
Okay.
Yeah, Haas should be joining us soon.
Okay.
Let me just see UAE. E. Oh, UAE. Oh, well, they want you to think it's Iran. Let me just see. UAE latest. Oh, yeah, multiple 9 hours ago, it has multiple explosions in Jebel Ali port in UAE as part of the Iranian response in the region. The emirate is drowning in fire, people. That is the thing. Is that what I heard, that it was Israel that did that, and they wanted to blame it on.
Right. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to blame it on Iran and give them justification for going after them again, I suppose. And,
Yeah, that's what they always do.
mm,
Yeah, and then somebody's asking here, is Iran going on the offensive? But Iran said it wasn't them. Oh, somebody
mm.
says, Oy vey, Israel has halted all weapon exports to Qatar and stopped all maintenance and support for prior defense sales, calling Qatar an evil state that works against Israel and citing its years of hosting Hamas leaders as well as alleged attempts to influence. This is what somebody was saying. Oh, of course.
Well, actually, Dee, when you think about it,
Hmm.
um, I mean, I've heard this in very good authority that Qatar are the main funders of Hamas.
Yes, 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 yes. And the
So,
UAE is very much with Israel.
mm, mm, that's right.
You know.
But Qatar's. But when you think about it, Qatar's a key to the United Arab. Sorry, to the Gulf states, because Qatar, has so much wealth, which is all being filtered away now because of the what's going on with the attacks that are happening.
Hmm.
Mm,
Oh, here, this is from 3 hours ago. Sayed Mohammed Marandi says
all right.
says the fake news about the two missiles was initially strange. Then it became clear that the UAE is carrying out Scott Bessent's orders for economic warfare. It will lose very badly in warfare against Iran.
Oh, hold on. Evelina's saying something here interesting. D.
Okay.
Iran says Iran says it hasn't attacked the Kurdish Republic in Iraq. It's a false flag.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on right now because yeah, it's stirring up stuff. It's stirring up stuff.
Yeah. So it's obviously what Israel are trying to do. They're trying to create situations like they were doing before when the missile went into Azerbaijan, too, or something went on in the countryside of Turkey, Turkey too. So
Hmm.
they're definitely trying to um, stir up Iran, aren't they?
Yeah, here's Mario Nofay shares something saying Tehran denies the missiles were ever theirs and suggests its enemies staged them, and with the region's radars in ruins, nobody can prove otherwise. Okay, here's people talking about it. One of the strangest days of war just got stranger. Okay, we'll listen to what they have to say. There's Larry Johnson.
All right.
Let's listen in.
Mm.
Israel strikes a Syrian base as Turkey delivers military assets there. what? Why are you laughing?
You're you're surprised by this, right?
I don't know. Because it's Israel. It's hard to be surprised when it's Israel. Maybe not surprised, just annoyed.
And yeah, so remember a year ago when they were ousting Bashar al-Assad, there's al-Jara, Bibi Netanyahu on one arm, Erdogan on the other. They're swaying back and forth saying, we are the world, we are the future,
We are.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they're calling each other motherfucker.
Exactly. It's insane.
Yeah. So, it's just, when you put a bunch of
power
rattlesnakes in the same pit with each other, don't be surprised when they start biting one another.
Who do you think will win the battle? Who do you think will have more influence in Syria? Turkey's trying to, according to reports, according to the Israelis, that they were sending troops there, not only military assets, they're calling it Turkish entrenchment inside of Syria. By the way, meanwhile, they're bombing Lebanon, just to be clear, as we speak. So they bombed Gaza in the morning, they bombed Turkey, and then you can show the photos I sent you, Lisa. They're bombing Lebanon's right now, Ali Al-Tahrir Hill, as well as Kfar Rumani, next to Nabatea, and they struck Nabatea earlier. Fucking hell, man. It just doesn't stop with these guys.
Now all we need is just Jordan to get in the mix. Have
that would be surprising.
A Palestinian uprising in Jordan.
That's now.
You think that'll be? You think that'll be surprising?
I don't know. I don't know enough about Jordan to see if it will be surprising, like if it's on edge or not. I know
I've
there's a lot of Palestinians.
I've been given a heads up. Keep your eye on Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that told me that Yemen, the war would break out again with Yemen, just gave me the heads up saying next up is Jordan.
In what? Who would instigate it, or nobody, or just be internal? Will it be instigated by any foreign country?
Well, it's like me, not necessarily instigated by a foreign country, but you've got, I think the majority of the population there now is Palestinian.
Yeah.
And King Abdullah hasn't exactly been a stand-up guy and standing up for the rights of the Palestinians.
Oh, he hasn't.
So this could get ugly. Case of the Uglies.
I'm just going to change the title. Breaking: Israel clashes with Turkey in Syria, also bombs Lebanon and Gaza. It's insane. Israel just bombed 3 countries today.
Yeah,
I'm going to call Gaza countries because I think it should be a country.
Israel's going to continue to overextend itself. I mean, it's a small country, limited logistics. It can't do unlimited warfare. Pretends that it can, but it can't. And if it comes down to a battle over Syria, I think Turkey will win that. If Erdogan lets the army do its work. Now, if Erdogan interferes, who knows?
You know what's funny is that the 3 countries that Israel bombed, all 3 of them, the Americans have asked Israel to stop bombing. Lebanon, obviously, is part of the deal, and Trump himself said it. Gaza, even this morning, Jared Kushner said it yesterday. Trump said it this morning or last night. I think it's this morning that Israel should not bomb Gaza City anymore. Last night. They bombed it today. And Syria, even the US is condemning the attack on Syria because Trump and al-Shara are best buddies right now. It's just they don't give a shit.
Yeah, there's a shocker that Israel's telling Trump to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
And Trump is he's behaving like the new white collar criminal that's just gone to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting abused. Let's call it that way.
Another bizarre event that happened today. I was actually having dinner and my alarm goes off and we get the alert, the missile alert. Haven't had that in months here. Only happened once, and that was a false alarm because they were striking a ship. Let me show you the alert. Not that it matters much because you don't know, but there it is. So that's the alert due to whatever, due to current situation, potential missile threats. And then it emerged. So I initially thought the Iranians are attacking a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, and the alerts went off, very sensitive alerts because that happened last time. That was my first guess, and I was watching what's going on. Then I saw the images of the interception, not far from where I am, and I assumed it was maybe the Houthis. And then because obviously the Emiratis might be doing some shenanigans with the Saudis in Yemen, and then the Emiratis say it was Iran. That caught me by surprise. And then the UAE then suspends all trade, foreign exchanges, all trade, commercial exchanges, and financial transactions with Iran about an hour ago. And then literally minutes ago, the foreign minister of Iran said it wasn't them. They also said, they're not going to do anything to their brotherly neighbors. They've denied it, and they said something nice, like, we're not going to, it goes against our values and building relationship with our brotherly neighbors, etc., which is a bizarre thing. I don't know what to make of it. I can only speculate here. Is it a trigger happy general? Is it a mistake? Oh, the Emirati said it was a mistake as well. So about an hour ago, the Emirati said the Iran did not intend to fire missiles at the Emirates. So they blamed the Iran hours ago, then they said they didn't mean to. But yeah, what would be your best guess on what happened?
No chance that it is an Israeli false flag.
I thought you'd say that. John Miguel, my thoughts on that? And you're the former CIA analyst, so this is your area of expertise. One thing I've been told is that false flag attacks, so twofold. The first part is the intelligence community generally knows when there's a false flag attack, who's behind it, especially with today's technology. If it's a missile fired...
Whoa, where did you get that?
Two of my guests said it, but I can't remember their name. I cannot remember their name. It was a while ago.
Anybody who's actually in the CIA?
One of them is former CIA. I'll tell you who that is after the show. I'll try to remember, after the show. But can I finish I'll finish sentence.
And they said that?
So they said that, so for example, the early warning radars, they didn't say the part I'm going to say now. So when it comes, obviously different false flags have different, but assassination attempt is very difficult to see who's behind it versus a missile being fired. A missile being fired, this is my thoughts now. A missile being fired, you'll have the early warning satellites and they'll be able to know where it's coming from, the directions, the coordinates. So that's why I think, so ignore the comment on false flags in general. So the comment that was made to me by the person was that in general, within the intelligence community, they know who's behind a false flag. It's really hard to hide it in today's world. So that's their comment. My comment is when it comes to a missile, you could usually get the coordinates of it. Sure. Now, if it's a false flag where the Israelis paid the general in Iran to launch something where they had members on Iranian territory to launch it, obviously it can be. I just think the Israelis have too much to lose to do a false flag on the Emirates, unless, I'll add one more comment, unless the Emirates is moving away from Israel, closer to Iran. We're getting all the reports of money being sent to Iran. Israel's pissed off at that. And the same way they threw the Emirates under the bus by Netanyahu saying he actually visited the UAE before Naftali Bennett announced it, because Naftali Bennett was going there. Netanyahu announced it and the UAE's president had to deny it. Maybe they're also kind of, this is a jab at the Emirates because of the Emirates is getting closer to Iran. So I kind of changed my position where, yeah, it's definitely possible to sabotage a rapprochement happening between the two countries.
Are they sure it was a missile?
They just said it's a missile, so I don't know. Well, yeah, I have an image of interception, but I don't know what they intercepted.
But the issue is this: since all of the radars are knocked out, unless they've got an AWACS or a P-8 Poseidon up, the odds that they would know from which direction the missile came is pretty low. Even if it was a missile, or it was, so I see much more incentive. Accident, that sounds potentially plausible, but if it was purposeful, got to be Israel, because Israel, as you just noted yourself, they want to disrupt this rapprochement
Rapprochement.
between.
Did you just try to say it with a French accent? Look at you.
I said très bien, très bien.
Très bien. Bravo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that it would be in Israel's interest to make it look like it was Iran trying to get the two fighting with each other.
Another theory I have, and pure speculation, I haven't even had a chance to talk to anyone about it with all the interviews, so pure speculation, is that there is a lot of things happening behind the scenes. We don't know whether there is, the Emiratis promised some money to deliver, they did not deliver, or there's some disagreement happening behind the scenes, and this is just a warning by the Iranians. That's one other theory I thought of. And one last theory is it could be, and I think this is unlikely, in my view, especially now because we're not in wartime, as in full-blown war, is like some rogue element within Iran firing a missile. But I'm highly doubtful this is the case.
Yeah, it's not like they got them laying around that you can just go out and grab one.
Exactly.
It's not like fireworks, okay?
What do you think of the first one, though? That it could be a disagreement that happened behind the scenes in the negotiations they're having, or something.
No.
Maybe something else. Maybe the Iranians got intelligence of like Mossad landing in the Emirates, or they got reports of the Emirates advocating the U.S. to strike Iran. Something the Iranian intelligence caught on to that led them to do this.
Well, they said they fired a missile. Did they even say where it landed?
No, it was intercepted in Jabal Ali. Yeah.
Well, if it intercepted with what? A Patriot? They still got a few of those left. Oh my God! This is, and if it was a Patriot, this must have been a cheap ass missile.
Yeah. And one last thing is, I had a guest tell me that the Iranian strategy is an interesting theory. I want to get your thoughts on. So it's part of a broader point. So one of my guests was telling me that the Iranian strategy right now their goal is to cause so much damage to Trump himself that he loses the midterms. And because when he loses the midterms, the House and the Senate, then he's kneecapped for the rest of his term to be able to do anything against Iran. Because everyone's talking about the US going to attack Iran. Everyone's saying they're going to attack Iran after the midterms. So the Iranians, who are very astute and aware of American politics, would be looking at this and calculating, all right, the midterms are going to happen. And the midterms are happening. They look at the polls, etc., and they're like, we need to cause as much harm politically to Trump as possible. And there's two ways to do that. Number one is keeping the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Energy prices goes up. And we know 70-something% of Americans consider this the most important topic when it comes to foreign policies, gas prices, according to a recent poll. So all the Iranians need to do is keep gas prices high enough that will hurt Trump in the polls enough. Now, obviously, there's a counter blockade by the Americans, so the Iranians have to take that into consideration for their economy. But if that's not enough to work, if the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz to increase energy prices is not enough to harm Trump politically, the other option would be to bait Trump back into war, drag him back into war, where they'll be able to cause him more damage, and that will hurt him in the midterms as well. So the Iranian strategy right now is how do we harm Trump's odds of keeping the House is going to lose, of winning the Senate? Because if he loses both the House and the Senate, they're clear for this presidency, and all they need to hope for is a more logical president to come after him.
Why don't they just sit back? Trump seems to be doing enough harm to himself.
Exactly.
He's like somebody trying to, cut his own wrists.
Mm-hmm.
He's not exactly embarked on some successful political strategy here.
No.
Some genius move. Boy, I'm on a pull now.
You're saying threatening to bomb Oman is not a smart strategy? It sounds like a very good strategy.
And going after South Korea, I went back and looked it up. So in 2022, the United States basically was raiding South Korean stocks of 155 millimeter missiles or artillery shells. So we ended up taking like 300,000 from them.
For Ukraine,
yeah, for Ukraine. Screw you, you don't need those, we need them. And now Trump's insulting them.
And took the air defense batteries as well, remember?
Yeah.
During the war.
Oh, you don't need them. Those North Koreans are fine. Which is, someone posted a hilarious meme that, in fact, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
While you're pulling that one up, Trump himself posted a meme of him and Kim Jong-un being best buddies.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, well, this one is, it says, it shows Trump shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. It says, the Republican Party, which is screaming at everyone that they disagree with that they are communists, are dead silent when their leader says he loves Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I swear. Also, when Trump is like sitting there, like every answer on why the war in Iran is happening and why he needs to attack Iran is like, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And then now he's posting himself photos with someone who has nuclear weapons and has threatened to strike the United States with those nuclear weapons, and he's buddies with them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a member of the club.
It's a pretty messed up simulation. And while you're speaking, explosions were heard in the town of Hadatha in southern Lebanon, and initial reports unconfirmed of explosions in Tartus, western Syria. I think Tartus is where the Russian base is. It's a big city, so it doesn't mean the Russian base is being attacked. But it's kind of gives you an idea of the reality in the region, man. Like, it's how messed up is this? Like, today I really got that feeling, kind of hit me. In one day, you've got, in 1 week, the Houthis attack Saudi. People talking about, will Iran invade Kuwait? Because Iran threatened, members of parliament threatened to invade Kuwait if the US invades Iran. Reports of Iran firing missiles at the UAE, and then obviously not Iran. Israel bombing Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. All this within a week, most of it within 24 hours. It's just it's such a mess that he's created in the region. It's pretty heartbreaking to see people's livelihood, people living in that region, get screwed like this.
Well, it's likely to get worse.
Yeah. Are you still in the position that you don't think Trump, because of the munitions, etc., that we've talked a lot about, are you still in the position that you don't expect a full-blown war between the US and Iran like in February, March, or you're a bit more worried now than previously?
Okay, tell me first what you mean by full-blown war.
The level of strikes, hundreds of targets a day, like what we saw in February, March.
No, they can't. They can't do that. They don't have the weapons. They'll run out. Yeah. So, could there be a 2 or 3 day bombardment, selective, and sort of a gesture of ill will? Sure. But every time Trump uses them, it's not like there's the Lockheed Martin or General Dynamics or Raytheon, whoever's producing what, is standing there cranking out more. They're sitting there trying to figure out, how the hell are we going to get the Chinese to give us what we need? And the Chinese are saying, we're not giving it to you.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. is operating on some assumptions about Iran that no longer apply. And this is particularly the case with Scott Bessent. Basically, he assumes that Iran's a closed economy, that Iran is dependent on the U.S. dollar, and the more we can cut them off from being able to make any dollars, the weaker their economy becomes, and they'll collapse. And what he's failed to take into account is that may have been the case 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when the JCPOA was signed, because you had Russia and China fully on board at the time with sanctions, both the Western sanctions and the UN sanctions. But as soon as Trump walked away from the JCPOA, that was the moment, really, that Russia and China then separated themselves. And I base that on the fact that they carried out a joint military exercise in December 2019. Okay? Go back 18 months. Because usually when you plan a joint military exercise like that, the planning for it starts minimum of 12 months out, but more likely 18 months. I did and even though my experiences with the U.S. military, we work with foreign militaries as well. They sort of do the same thing. 18 months out, you get your initial planning conference, and then say 12 months out, you do your mid-planning conference, and then 3 months out, you do your final planning conference, something like that. Well, this means that Russia and China, as soon as Trump walked away from the JCPOA, they said, okay, we're lining up with Iran now. That's when they began conducting these annual exercises in 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then with the start of this war, the trade relationship, well, actually last September in 2025, when they tried to do the snapback sanctions under JCPOA, took it to the UN, and both China, I think one of them vetoed it and one of them abstained, but they basically said, we're not going to recognize those sanctions at all as legitimate. So have a nice day.
Yeah.
So this is I think what we're seeing now is you've got this open trade routes with Russia, China, and Pakistan. So here's Besson thinking he can choke them off and, I'll just control their access to dollars. Iranians don't care about dollars. They want their assets unfrozen, but they're doing all the transactions now in Chinese currency. And they're going to get, there's looking for loans through the development bank that BRICS has set up. So what this is doing is accelerating Iran's complete divorce from the Western financial system, so that in essence, U.S. loses leverage over Iran economically.
Yeah, we're talking about the trade routes between different countries in Iran. There's a report by NBC today as well, which is perfect to get your thoughts on this. Russia's shipping drone components, ammunition, and TNT to Iran through the Caspian Sea, helping Iran replenish stockpiles depleted by the U.S. and Israeli strikes. The Caspian route is particularly difficult for Western countries to disrupt, as the 2018 Caspian Sea Convention restricts the military presence of non-littoral states.
Non-littoral or non-literal?
Littoral, non-littoral, and I pronounced it mistakenly. Non-littoral states. How significant, how important is that? How much do you think is how much do you think Russia's supporting Iran, and how big of a role are they playing in Iran's ability, not only with targeting, because I know they're using the Chinese satellite system, but just having enough missile stockpiles and the components to be able to keep manufacturing?
Well, I don't think Iran's running short of ammunition and TNT, because they weren't launching ammunition shots at incoming missiles, and TNT is used for demolition. But with regards to your question, Russia and China played an enormous role, if nothing else from the intelligence backup, but also other elements of military support that they provided. You go back to the helicopters Russia supplied last year. So you can't. The point of all this is Russia, China, and Iran are now united in a bloc that's really opposed to the West, and that impedes what the United States would like to do in Iran.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what else they've delivered. So I don't know why. Yeah, because you mentioned the one.
Beidou, you mean the Russians or the Chinese?
No. So I'm talking about, because they talked about TNT and ammunition. I'm seeing what they're referring to, because what would the TNT be used in? And the ammunition, the artillery, for the artillery, that don't really need that. So they did mention drones as well. So I'm sure the drones play a big role, but they haven't mentioned any other components for missiles, etc. Who do you think is supporting the Iranians more, the Russians or the Chinese, from a military perspective in terms of assets?
I think probably the Chinese, but it's not significant in terms of the difference. I think they're both equally important. If Russia's sending drones back to Iran, that's an ironic twist, because initially it was Iran sending drones to Russia, but Russia has they have advanced several generations in like the Garin. They're now generation 4 that's jet powered. So it can go a lot faster and a lot farther.
Well, and another thing I want to ask you about is that happened is the Turkey, the sale of the S-400s to the UAE and to try to get the F-35s from the US. So according to Kommersant, I don't know what that outlet that is, Turkey's talks, but I've seen it on other outlets as well. Turkey's talks with the UAE on selling its S-400 air defense systems, the Russian air defense systems, have stalled, according to Russia's Kommersant, so it's Russian media, which says that the F-35 deal with the US remains suspended as a result. The report ties this to a U.S. State Department letter sent to Congress on July 22, recommending against approval. So we know that the Americans won't approve the sale of the F-35s to Turkey, which you've criticized already. You're like, even if these F-35s are delivered, you've called them, your words, pieces of junk. But to be able to get those pieces of junk, the S-400s, the Turks have to get rid of the S-400s. And I'm not sure why the discussions have stalled, considering that the Emiratis do need air defense systems. So I'm not sure whether this is Israeli pressure, because the Israelis don't want the F-35s to be delivered to Turkey. They've been very vocal about it.
Right,
so I don't know if the Israelis are pressuring the Emiratis not to take the S-400s from the Turks, so the Turks don't get the F-35s from the Americans. But there is a pretty big power struggle between the Turks and Israelis. They've been talked about for a while. Now, you've always made a point whenever we spoke about this, about the amount of money the Turks are making from the oil that's coming out of Azerbaijan through Turkey being sent to Israel. So they do a lot of commerce together. But we are seeing now, other than the rhetoric, we're seeing action as well, like the F-35s by Trump and the disagreements that Congress is having about this and whether they're going to approve it or not. The strikes by Israel in Syria is probably the most significant development, at least in the last couple of years, between the two countries. Would you reconsider the likelihood or how concerned you are about the likelihood of a conflict between those two countries, or are you still not worried at all about it?
Between which two countries?
Turkey, Israel.
No, I think what we started off talking about tonight was Israel's bombing a base where there may be Turkish troops. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the chance of them getting into that show up on my screen is it's more likely than less likely.
Yeah, because it's because the point you make about the trade between the two countries has always, trade is generally a good incentive for countries to avoid clashing, but it's not a guarantee, as we've seen, the last forever.
Right.
And countries that do a lot of trade end up fighting. So yeah, this is the problem. There is that vacuum being left by the US. So yeah, it's just insane that we're even talking about this. Yeah, I don't know how that will look like.
It's one big food fight over there right now. Yeah. And the one country that stayed out of the food fights, sort of, is Jordan. Sure. I'm just saying, look, next one up, maybe Jordan. We'll be talking Jordan here in a couple of weeks.
What did your contact say about Jordan?
Just watch out. That it's next. So I thought, well, he's been pretty good.
It makes sense too.
He said, quote, "I told you about Yemen," and he did. I mean, 2 weeks before all the stuff to start off with the Saudis and such, he said, "Keep your eye on Yemen. There's more coming." And so he's now said, "Hey, I told you about Yemen. Now, watch Jordan."
Fucking hell. All right, man. Well, on that great note, thank you for the update. Thank you for the scoop. Great discussion. And always good to end it on a positive note. So on the note of unrest in Jordan, I'll thank you for your time.
All right, my friend. Well, I guess we will chat tomorrow at some point.
All right, Larry. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, my friend. Bye.
It makes sense when he said about with Jordan. Because I've been thinking about that. They've got different...
Isn't King Abdullah there along with Israel?
He is, but there are different tribe leaders that go back, that were there in that area before Jordan was even established. The tribe
Right.
leaders,
Never.
and
Yeah.
when Jordan, when the king, whoever's the king at the time, goes off course, and there's a problem for the people, um,
Mm.
there will be action. There will be an
Right.
uprising. So I was wondering, what is
Mm.
it going to take? Because first of all, we're looking at everything that's happening with Al-Aqsa Mosque. The status quo agreement is
Mm.
just, Jordan's not doing anything, and it was stupid of Jordan to have the water agreement with Israel. That's where they get their water from.
Oh.
So that's kind
Mm.
of ridiculous because Israel has to do is turn off the faucet, basically.
Well, it's a bit like Turkey. Turkey could cut off the fuel pipeline to Israel too if they wanted to.
Yeah. So
Mm.
things are getting
I,
very
I've seen
dangerous.
that gentleman talking to Larry before. Larry's very good, isn't he?
He is very good. He's very good.
Mm. Mm.
And you're
He's
wondering
just as
too,
good
because
as Conor McGregor.
yeah,
Very good. Mm.
yeah. So it makes
Yeah,
sense
the
with
same.
Jordan. Jordan's like you said, a lot of Palestinians are there, and you
Mm.
know that with the West Bank, how Israel wants to take over the West Bank, and they want to take over Jordan too.
Mm.
I mean, things are getting too close for comfort. And then when there's the war, Israel wants to go after. They're still pushing to go after Iran. Those are the words from the people and the Knesset, and they're acting like they can do it themselves. So we know they can't, but they're acting like they
Mm.
can because they do get
Yeah.
weapons in from India. But the thing is, India's not going to go ahead and get involved. Sure, they sell weapons, but that's as far as India's going to go. So, I mean,
Mm.
Israel would have to do it solo. The U.S. doesn't have the capabilities anymore.
Would it be
And
possible if Jordan got involved? Would it be possible then Turkey got involved,
yeah,
or would they
but
just sit back to see if they were provoked?
well, Turkey, Netanyahu and some of the right wingers in Israel, they are provoking Turkey. They're claiming that
Yeah, they are.
yeah, because they're saying
Mm.
after Iran, then they're going after Turkey. Like they
Mm.
could do that. I mean, come on. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous because for them to
Mm.
go after anybody, they usually are screaming for the U.S.'s help.
Mm.
Okay, let me see here. I'm gonna go over here to this Quds News, and we could talk about some stories there.
But that's interesting what Larry's saying to keep eyes on Jordan.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, we could.
Well,
Yeah.
could read it because you would think that even my thoughts would be if Jordan got involved, then you could have the Houthis, involved more directly.
Oh yeah.
And I become aware of something on Threads. It was just something I happened to see on Threads that, a lot of these Arab countries do have a substantial armies.
Hmm.
I happen to notice an army that they have in Algeria.
Hmm.
Mm. And as we know, the Arab Spring actually started there before Syria.
Oh yeah. And the whole thing with wanting Syria, Israel wanting Syria, and then wanting
Mm.
Lebanon. I mean, we know Greater Israel, but also the pathway for Iran.
Mm. You haven't had a message from Harsh at all?
No, I haven't heard anything from Harsh. Let me give him a call.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and even
Okay.
like I got on the screen here, and this is around the clock. And ever since you've been on these shows with me, you've seen this around the clock. It's
Mm.
with Israel and the West Bank.
Mm.
And here they are raiding homes, raiding towns. They've been doing this, and all they get is from the West is condemnation, but nobody doing anything to stop Israel from what it's
Mm.
doing.
Yeah, no one's laying a finger, are they? No one's,
No,
calling for UN peacekeeping forces or anything. I mean,
right?
they can put a UN peacekeeping force into southern Lebanon. Why can't they put it into the West Bank?
They could,
They could
but
quite easily if they had the will
mm-hmm,
and gumption to do it.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, let me call Harsh.
Yeah, sure. Mm. No.
If I looked to see if I had a message, and there's no message from him. I spoke with him today, and that's what we came up with. What we were going to talk about, because it's very important what's going on.
Mm. I tell you, Dee, I wouldn't be surprised if something, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I wouldn't be surprised what we talked about between Russia and the UK. I think that's also something to be, you know,
Yeah,
not necessarily the people, but on the military side of it.
hmm yeah. Well, the UK is such a mess; they're falling apart.
It is. Yeah, they are.
And then Trump is saying that they have to
Then,
increase their own weapons. That the U.S. isn't going to be their protector. The U.S. Um,
mm,
is not going to get involved. But meanwhile, the all this stupidity with Ukraine. I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous.
Evelina's saying something interesting. Can we expect the King of Jordan to go into exile and where? It's possible.
Oh, the King of Jordan to go in exile.
Mm,
Oh, yeah. Well, because normally, because I remember when we were doing the show with Joe Firestone, and he said that that he really likes England. Um,
oh, right.
he's there a lot with the arts and everything, but
Mm.
we'd have to see where he'd go exile because we know that obviously most likely he's
Something that's got
going to
me
leave.
slightly concerned too is I've got friends at the moment from Sydney who they're on an extended trip overseas and they're going to be in the UK for a while now.
Oh,
Still. Mm.
okay. What did she say here? Given his life is hanging on a string. Oh, definitely, definitely. They're all pretty much in that situation. I mean, where's your loyalty?
Yeah, well, Evelina makes a good point because the Palestinians, refugees, could even rise up against him.
Yeah, and rightly so, because they're not
Mm.
representing
Mm.
the people at all.
No.
With them wanting to stand with the U.S. and wanting to stand with Israel.
Mm.
And, the U.S. and Israel are falling apart.
Mm.
What else does she say? Or rather, his kingdom. His kingdom, yeah. Well, you know, as we've said, the greater Israel, that Israel has its intentions of getting Jordan. So,
Mm. Maybe, maybe Israel's final solution is to, I don't know, if they could cope with it. Is it possible? They talked about an African country in Somalia and that, but is it possible that they could take more refugees from Gaza into Jordan? I'm just surmising. I don't really know the capacity of it. They're pretty full now, aren't they?
well, the thing is that the people in Gaza, they need to have, they were supposed to put in like manufactured homes
Mm.
putting a temporary residence there until people can have their homes
Yeah.
rebuilt, and humanitarian aid. So everything should be set up for the people in Gaza. Don't give
Yeah.
in to Israel, because Israel's the one that wants everybody in Gaza out. And to me, it's a big FU. And the people in Gaza have the right to stay there if they want to. They have a right to have a good roof over their heads, the food they need, the medical care they need. Their needs should be met.
Yeah.
If people decide,
There's so many needs medically wise that they're not being met at all.
right now, if people want to leave, that's one thing, but a lot of people want to stay there. That's their homeland. That's where their family has been
That's
from.
home. Yeah.
And there's people that want to come back, but it has to be. I mean, it's Palestinian land, and the world's going to do more.
Do you think it's possible, Dee, that they're not opening the Rafah border because they're worried that the Egyptian troops are sort of on readiness, that they might confront them too?
Egypt has
That
this
could be.
agreement with Israel.
Yeah,
So
I
they have
heard
their
that.
agreement that they have to do everything for Israel and stand with Israel and be Israel's little puppets. That's, basically it. Oh, and she was asking, is there a Palestinian resistance in Jordan? Fatah. Well, I'm sure there's different groups.
I would think there'd be some similar group to Hamas in Jordan.
Well, well, I know that in Turkey, Hamas had stayed in Turkey. They have Hamas people in Turkey.
It could be, Evelina, there could be some form of Qasem brigade, I would think, that they have in the West Bank. I would think that they have some, although they wouldn't have much might or military strength, but I reckon there'd be something like that in Jordan.
You would have to look that up. But yeah, there's got to be. The people themselves, stand with Palestine. Let me look this up. Yeah, what you were saying, Fatah, yeah, because it's, in that area. Palestinian resistance.
I wonder what Scott's been saying lately about things.
What's that?
Probably Scott Ritter. He's probably been saying something.
We could put him on and see what he has to say.
See what he's got to say.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, because I'm definitely taking note of what Larry said about, Jordan could come into play now.
It really doesn't say right now.
Okay.
But they say there's none in there in Jordan today. I mean, that's what online is saying. Yeah, avoid a puppet government. And that's the problem in the region. All these puppet governments to be obedient to the USA and be obedient to Israel. But they're losing their power. Okay, I have something here with Scott Ritter. Let me go, Scott Ritter. Okay, Scott Ritter, following Scott Ritter. It's all about artificial intelligence. This is Scott Ritter. Pentagon did not do due diligence. And um, Armenia's looming divorce with Russia. Back in April.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a,
that's
yeah.
brewing.
Oh, here's the Intel roundtable on August 14th with Larry Johnson, Scott Ritter, Joe Kent. But let me see anything. This goes back to August 14th. It's not anything recent.
You know who's another good commentator? Is that John Mishama, you know?
Yeah.
He's a good commentator too.
What's this one?
I'm doing something tonight there. I'm going to a documentary. It's going to be a bit gory. It's going to be about experimentation that they do on monkeys for pharmacia.
Oh my goodness.
It's not going to be very pleasant viewing.
Mm. Mm.
And actually,
Cool.
tomorrow morning I'm going to see about applying to get a ticket for a forum that we're having here next month, challenging the narrative of the COVID so-called pandemic or plandemic. I think it's the latter, plandemic.
Mm. Wow, listen to this. Mohammed Bagar Galbaf, Iran's parliament speaker, says Besant and Hegseth are way out of their league. Stop waiting for the clown crew to pull a rabbit out of their hat and clean up the mess you made. Yep, he didn't mince any words. Addressing the war on Iran, Galbaf stated, Americans think squeezing Iran harder will win concessions that were never part of the agreement. He also described U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and war criminal Pete Hegseth as being way out of their league, accusing them of creating a mess. And he's right, they're out of their league. They did create a mess. Galibaf sarcastically wrote, Bessent and Hegseth are way out of their league, using them to urging them to stop waiting for the clown crew to pull a rabbit out of their hat and clean up the mess you made. Yeah, they're just bragging on. They made a mess. They didn't have any plan.
Mm.
Only 29% of highly motivated voters approve of Trump's handling of Iran. Only 29%. I'm surprised it's even that. According to Israel Channel 13 and Channel 12, Israel decided to impose a complete ban on all arms exports to Qatar, including halting all future sales as well as maintenance and support for systems previously sold. The Times of Israel reported that the decision reflects Israel's view of Qatar as an evil state that works against Israel, citing the Gulf states' long-standing hosting of Hamas leaders and its key role in mediating between Israel and the group. The Times of Israel added that although Israel has no diplomatic relations with Qatar and has not openly sold weapons systems to it directly, Israeli companies have reportedly supplied hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment that was incorporated into large U.S. delivered systems, including air defense systems, night systems, and advanced avionics. The reports of the decision was also influenced by alleged Qatari efforts to sway Israeli public opinion, including claims that Qatar paid aids to Prime Minister Netanyahu. When they talk about evil, I mean, Israel's the one that we've witnessed Israel's evil. How could they do not have the right to call anybody evil?
No.
We've all seen what they do. Oh yeah, Trump's new U.S. Territory map gets a reality check from Iran's Mohsen Rezai, 7,000 miles from Washington. Some dreams are too far from reality. Could you imagine that with Trump calling the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory?
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing. He's completely lost it with that.
Yeah, it's maddening.
It's very mad.
New U.S. territory. Trump.
I mean, the world's looking on an absolute horror in saying that, do
Yeah. The U.S.
even other world leaders,
Yeah, like the U.S. is this big nut house.
Mm, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. A
Maybe.
lot of people from the U.S. are leaving to go to Canada.
Mm,
Canada said that the numbers are up with people
yeah, I'm not surprised.
wanting to go to Canada from the U.S.
Actually, here's a topical thing to talk about. Did you know that the commander of the North Operation, Northern Command in America, is concerned about a drone strike that could come from Russia onto your northern borders through Alaska and Canada?
Yeah, they've been talking about that for years. That fear of Russia. Remember
Mm,
Sarah Palin with that? She can see Russia from her
mm.
window.
All right.
And but actually, North Korea had said
Mm,
if the U.S. does anything, when nukes are concerned, and Iran, they will. They have nukes that can reach the U.S.
I know. Yeah.
So it's sheer stupidity.
Mm. Oh, yeah, you can be sure that anything happens, North Korea will suddenly launch.
Mm.
What do you think about this situation between the North and the South? And it seems like they're trying to um, come back against, my understanding, I saw something that they're trying to push back against American troops being, like as we know, I'm sure you're aware of that there's a submarine base there in Busan in the bottom of the country, and they're trying to kick them out of there. And if they
Mhm.
got kicked out of there, I would think Okinawa could be next. American forces push
Yeah.
Japan, which if that did happen, that would open it. Or see, there's a strategy involved in this, Steve. That will open things up more for China, with their ambitions on Philippines and Taiwan.
Right now, the U.S. doesn't have the ability to do much.
No, they don't. Until they
Um,
get the scandium that
they
that's
thought the thing is, it's like Trump, Hegseth. Um, they just thought the U.S. government, oh yeah, like we just have like the supply of weapons that is never ending.
mm,
They used up things. Um, the U.S. can't even really defend itself right now.
no.
They're just acting like it was just like this never-ending weapon supplies,
Mm,
and then with all these sanctions, different parts that you
mm,
need for different weapons. Nothing was thought out. Nothing was thought out. They just went and went through supplies, not realizing that um, how low they were getting, and they needed to be refurbished. They needed new
Mm.
supplies, and then when Trump realized it, when he heard about it, he spoke with Hegseth. Then Hegseth was always that they had enough supplies. They had, and
Mm.
then Hegseth goes and blames it on the person that's underneath him. When the person that was underneath him was warning him, but they always thought that, oh, it's coming, stuff's coming. We can just keep
Mm.
doing what we're doing. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, it's sad too
I
because
mean,
the
my
fact.
understanding too, the Department of War, they can't get their rare earths anymore from China because of the tariffs,
Right.
and so and so they've heard about this potential of developing a scandium mine in um, in my state in New South Wales, and they've gone, okay, we'll give them 500 million, and they can pay it back over time or whatever, and we'll have the rights to everything. It's like they're looking at us like we're suckers. The Australian people are just suckers, and that we're expendable in any um, future war that they want to launch against China. What they what the American government do not understand is you're not the top dog anymore. The top dog is China,
Exactly.
and China are the top hegemon now, aren't they, Dee? And so and yet Trump's acting like he's actually his petulance. That's a good word for it. His
Mhm.
petulance is just that he still has his delusion that make America great again, everything for America, screw everyone else. He doesn't understand that China are the top hegemon now.
He doesn't understand that at all, and the problem is with the U.S. is this constant thinking that you have to bomb people to get your way. You
Hmm.
have to do evil things to get your way. If the
To
U.S.
get
would just
away.
mind its own business and take care of the
Hmm.
issues here, there are so many issues
Hmm.
here in the U.S. that need attention. Just
Yeah.
leave everybody alone, you know? It's stop this
Hmm.
BS. You know, it's just
Yeah.
infuriating with the U.S.
It's been going on too long, and
It has been. And this
you
whole
know.
thing, make America great again. When? When was America great? I mean, look at the founding of the country. It was founded on evil.
Hmm.
And you could go through one year after the other, after the other, after the other. There was never greatness. It was just always evil being done to somebody. There was always this
Hmm.
conquest for power, and somebody was being abused.
Well, you know what? The history of your country is similar to the colonization of Australia. What we
Hmm.
did to our First Nations people, putting them in chains and missionaries and raping the women, the early colonizers raping the black women. That was done to the Indian people in your country.
It's just this
And
evil.
the pilgrims from
Yes.
Europe, when they come and settled your country, they did mass, before. I mean, you've had such a dark history,
Yes, we've had a dark
like,
history, and the racism.
mm,
I mean, such evilness. So when he says that make
mm,
America great again, it's like when?
mm.
When are you talking about? The only thing I can
What's he
think of
talking
with
about?
him is the Gilded Age, when the billionaires, when they were rolling tobacco with $100 bills, and they were thinking
Mm,
life was so great. Well, down the road,
mm,
people were starving and living in tenements, and life was miserable. I mean, that's
mm.
what Trump would like to go back to.
Yeah.
It's just so much evil.
Mm,
Oh, here's a picture here of Iran. Iran rejects UAE's missile claims, warns of false flag operations. That's what Iran says.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, and it says it's unfounded. Reports of Iranian missile attack on UAE unfounded. Zionist. It says Zionist false flag. That's what Iran is saying. That it's unfounded
Right.
and it's a Zionist false flag. And we knew that right away because when Israel says something, they don't have a very good reputation. I'll put it that way. Oh,
Mm.
is this Harsh? Wow, here's Harsh.
Who's that?
Hey, Harsh, good to
I'm
see you.
glad Wayne held it down. Wayne's
Hi,
awesome.
Ash. How you going? You're a
How's
bit
it
late.
going?
You're a
Yeah,
bit
I'm glad
late. The
Wayne held it down. Wayne's awesome.
class has been going a while, Ash, but it's good to have you on board.
Hey, Dolores, I got a question. How long has Wayne been on the show for?
He's been on since we started about 9:35.
All right, good. So I didn't miss anything. Awesome.
Have you been listening in, Ash, or you've been just come on?
Not
Or?
really, but I know you did good, Wayne. So it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, we've been talking about some good stuff. Now you chip in, Ash. We're discussing about. We've been listening to Larry Johnson discussing analysis, and we've got a false flag operation with Israel and the UAE, and we've got Jordan coming into the war soon. So there's a lot of lovely things going on. You take the good and the bad, and there's a bit of bad around. Your rotten apples in the Big Apple. You could say that.
Well, here, listen to this. U.S. failure at Hormuz signals post-American order in Persian Gulf, Iran security chief says. A post-American order. And we were just talking about that and with Wayne, that the U.S. doesn't get the power of China in the world.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, I mean, the U.S. fucked it up because they still think they're special when they're not. I mean, like we talked earlier, please see what happens when other countries white knight for the U.S. Iran just destroyed the shit out of them.
Yeah. Iran reacts, you better watch out.
Yeah, I mean, being Iran and being America is not funny.
Iran
anyone who says that Iran don't have ICBMs now, I mean, we know we've heard this argument. I mean, it's so infuriating, Trump. Every second word, every second sentence he says, "Oh, they must never get a nuclear." Hey, dumb dodo bird, they already got nuclear weapons. Russia and China have given them the nuclear ICBMs. They can take you out. If you make any one wrong move against Iran, they'll take you out. And why doesn't he doesn't he, where's his intelligence? Where's the CIA analysis going back to Trump? They have the situation room. Where's this analysis getting back to Trump? That is he completely thick as a pumpkin?
Trump is a complete madman. And the goal here, they have an analysis. It says why expelling U.S. military and dismantling their assets are a key to regional peace and stability. Yeah, that's the key to in the Middle East, expelling the U.S. military and dismantling their assets. That's the key to peace and stability in the Middle East. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. And yeah, Yemen is dealing with Saudi Arabia. Yemeni forces conduct drone strikes on Saudi Aramco oil refinery in
Yemenis are doing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
Is is an interesting comment from Evelina. She's saying off topic, but talking about Parliament, Venezuela Congress is in a cross-party vote ruled Israel is a terrorist agent in Venezuela.
Mhm.
So obviously they've been kicked out of Venezuela, which is very good.
Yeah, let me see.
You know, Javier Malay could take a
Something
book
white
out of
seriously.
Dulce's playbook and.
Well, what was
Uh,
it?
But no, I'm the most Zionist president ever. I love Donald Trump.
yeah, no, I like what the South. I like what the Malaysians have done in regards to Israelis, because Israelis are fucking annoying.
Yeah.
They really are, and I don't like them anymore. You know.
Well, here's what Iran says again. Golubov says, blood of martyrs of Israel, U.S. aggression against Iran will not go unavenged. So the aggression, the mass slaughter, the blood of the martyrs is not going to go unavenged. You know, you look at all the school children and all the people that were killed, civilians killed.
Actually, look, Dee, we've had a late inclusion into the show. Something White is part of the show now. She's a generous supporter.
Yeah.
So here we go again. This is 15 hours ago they posted this. Israeli warplanes bombed Syrian airbase.
Right.
Turkish military visit.
Yeah. No, I like it. I love it. Iran or what?
Yeah.
Mm.
And somehow
cousin of
Israel
Bashar
thinks they
Assad.
could take out Turkey. It's crazy.
I just going to say the cousin of Bashar Assad has been found guilty of, the prisons, and he's been sentenced to execution.
And now they're saying, see,
Yeah.
Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammed Bagar Ghalibaf, says the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed. It's going to remain closed until the U.S. fulfills its commitments under the Memorandum of Understanding, adding that Iran is ready to deliver a heavier defeat to the U.S. in the event of renewed aggression. So they want the U.S. to keep its word.
Mm.
And Trump's just baffling all over the place, being the clown that he is.
Mm. And also the Israelis have put up their flags in southern Lebanon now on the road to Damascus. Sorry, the road to Beirut. The main road from southern Lebanon. They've rebuilt the bridges there, bridge over the Tani River, and so that's lovely. They're just all set to go
Well,
into
I'm sure the
battle with
flags will
the
be taken
Lebanese
down.
government Hezbollah again.
Well, I'm sure somebody, in Syria will take down the flags, or Lebanon, wherever Israel puts
I
up their
would think
flags.
so.
Oh, yeah, in that house in the West Bank, the Palestinian American, he put up the USA flag over his house.
Mm. Well, actually, Harsh, we were talking before about Huckabee not doing much about the West Bank situation because I was saying that there's an American Palestinian family that are being ostracized by the settlers.
Well,
Like they're in real danger.
all Huckabee's doing is a bunch of words.
Mm.
He's called them terrorists. He wants Netanyahu to do something. And Netanyahu's not going to do a damn thing. It's an election year. So the U.S. has got to figure out what they're going to do. I mean, action has to be done. But, I mean, the U.S. has to be the one. Because it's a U.S. citizens that's there. So,
Harsh is gone again now. Oh, well.
yeah, they called them terrorists. Harsh was here, and he must have gotten... I just brought him back on.
What do you got on screen there, D?
Oh, this is... let me see. Iran warns shipping companies against supporting U.S. military operations. Yeah, so they've been warning them. And then you have countries that listen to the U.S., and they think that somehow they're going to be able to sneak through. You're not going to be able to sneak through.
No.
And you're risking yourself, your life, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, it had Iran says it reached an agreement with Oman on a safety transit route through the Strait of Hormuz, with final details under discussion ahead of a joint statement. Yeah, so they're working together. Let me see what they say here.
Iran and Oman have announced the near completion of an agreement for the safe passage of ships in the Strait of Hormuz. In order to understand what type of agreement Iran and Oman are reaching, we need to understand geography of the Strait of Hormuz relative to both Iran and Oman. The strait is in both Iran's territorial waters and in Oman's territorial waters. Before the illegal U.S. war of aggression, around 140 ships were traveling through this strategic waterway every day, the arrows showing the direction of their travel route. This represented the goodwill of Iran not to manage the Strait of Hormuz, although it legally has rights in its territorial waters. The IRGC, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps, have restricted transit through this strategic waterway since the war began. They've ordered vessels to take this route around Lorak Island towards the north. They have also said that this area here is hazardous restricted, most likely scattered with, you guessed it, sea mines. Iran says the full reopening of the strategic waterway depends on U.S. compliance with its obligations under the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, such as the lifting of its full naval blockade. The U.S. has positioned 2 carrier strike groups in that area. What is disagreements between Iran and Oman? In addition to determining a safe transit route for commercial shipping through the strait, geographical coordinates of the route proposed by the 2 sides have also been agreed upon. Coordinate agreements mean location of entry and exit routes for maritime traffic. Under the planned arrangement, large parts of the shipping routes would go through Iran's territorial waters, and some parts would also pass through Oman's waters. The new routes would be used for a period of 2 to 4 months or potentially longer. Iran's Supreme National Security Council has announced that in order for the strait to be reopened, there needs to be adherence from the U.S. side to the following: end of war with Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas. There also needs to be full lifting of the naval blockade.
Okay. So they were intelligently talking about stuff, and then you got the buffoon from the U.S. coming out with nonsense all the time. Okay. You know, it's so embarrassing with the U.S. administration, especially when you hear everybody else talking.
That would just seem that, there doesn't seem to be any independent thinkers who are challenging. Because I made a comment that if anything happened to Trump, maybe they could go with Johnson, but apparently Johnson's not much good either.
Mm.
So you're really in a bit of a mess, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We're in a terrible mess. You know, it's like whatever administration comes in,
Mm,
there's always a right wing Zionist attached.
yeah.
You know, because you had the Biden administration, you
Mm,
had Tony Blinken. He put Zionism, he put Israel first.
yeah.
And now you got the same thing with the Trump administration with Jared Kushner.
Mm,
And, you know, when we look at, you know, Marco Rubio was groomed by the Adelsons.
yeah.
So he's full-fledged Zionist. You know, Mike Huckabee with the Christian Zionism, you know, not
Mm,
thinking about the Christians that are in the region.
mm,
You know, Christians that DNA is from that region. I mean, you have people that still speak Arabic, the language that Jesus spoke, and he doesn't think about them at all.
no. You think it's possible that Tucker would put his put his nomination in?
I don't know.
Tucker Carlson,
Right, he would have to go independent as well.
he'll have to go independent as well. Yeah. Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
maybe that's what it's going to need to happen.
yeah.
You're going to have a challenge to the two-party system, and
Yes,
because
exactly. We can't
we got
have
a
this two-party system. We have to have an independent.
Yeah, well, at some point we stop voting. Fuck, at some point all this shit's supposed to collapse, right? I mean, am I wrong?
What's that?
At some point all this shit's supposed to collapse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much longer are we going to go two-party system, three-party system? Right now, the world feels like a fucking ghetto.
He's doing it up. He speaks loud. The other one speaks low.
You know, and then we complain about what's wrong with humanity. It's like, yeah, the world's a ghetto because
Yeah.
we allow this nonsense to happen. Like, how long are we going to keep going doing the Bloods and the Crips?
Mm.
Hush, my friend, my lawyer, I had coffee with my lawyer friend, who I don't see very often this morning, and he was saying how the US pulled out of humanitarian aid. It's really affecting Africa very badly. That you were known for your humanitarian aid, and Trump just
But
upset, pulled the plug on all that, UNRWA and everything. Humanitarian aid that was going into Gaza, he just pulled the plug on everything.
Well, well, it definitely needs to be changes, and we need to have um, somebody that's not a loyal Zionist in the White House.
yeah, but how do we do that when Zionists control our freaking government?
That's the whole problem. That is the whole problem because this
I
is
mean,
what
even with these people who are quote unquote anti-Israel, they're closeted Zionists too.
mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you sit there and say you're anti-Israel but you're pro-Ukraine?
A lot of them.
How do you sit there and say, "Oh, I'm against what Israel's doing, but I support their government to exist as it is"? It doesn't make sense. But then we live in a world where people think they're camera shy, or where people claim they're camera shy, but yet they still think they can be funny. So I don't fucking know. Maybe we're all just fucking retarded and we deserve this chaos. I don't fucking get it.
I mean, Israel had such a good health system before the war. Maybe not so great now because a lot of it's gone underground.
Mm-hmm.
But the but but I mean, you guys have got nothing. You don't have. Okay, you've got these dams where, but and the elites can go down and hide in there. I've heard they've even got mattress down there. You know. I mean, you can go and that's so crap, wouldn't it? You can just go down there and you have his nurse for his flatulence problem.
Yeah.
I suppose he goes down there and he can get his hands on more children again. That'd be right, wouldn't it? Not very good.
Okay.
Fuck.
The U.S. is in such bad shape. Even here, says regional states. This is the Middle East. See, U.S. is paralyzed. Yeah, they seek bilateral deals with Iran.
Mm.
And that's what one of the persons, people in Iran was saying. There's not going to be peace. There's not going to be peace until the U.S. is out and their military bases are out of the Middle East. And that's true because the U.S. anywhere the U.S. is, it's just really sad. But there's always violence. There's always
Oh, you have a country built on violence. What do you expect?
right, and you have one group going after the other. They have they create these different groups to fight each other because the U.S. wants a particular resource. And
I think I was reading somewhere where the U.S. has existed for 250 years, and they've been at war for damn near like 240 something of it.
yeah, most of the time the U.S. has been at war.
Yeah, that's like 90% of the time. Yeah, that's like more than 95% of the time they've been at war. So I mean, that is what it is with this country. But I mean, look at how this country had manifest destiny and how it became the 13 colonies, how it took over the natives and all of that. I mean, this country's always been built on violence, and I hate to say this for people like you and Wayne, but a lot of Europe is based on violence too.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, like I said, my family came over here. You had the famine in Ireland. There was just always groups that the British had a problem with, and you had people, escaping persecution, and then they were coming over here.
Right.
But then you had that group, like you said, the early on, with manifest destiny, thinking that this land was promised by God to these to Christians. I mean, it's crazy.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Boy, Jay, this land was promised to me 2,000 years ago.
Yes, and I guess the U.S. was promised years ago to Christians. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was promised to the Mormons.
Oh yeah, and somehow this, Jesus is white, white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I find funny? This a thing called. Have you heard of this thing called Chrislam, which is a mixture of the Goyim and the Amalek, the Muslims and the Christians, and then so basically this Armageddon is going to be the Chrislam against the Jewish Zionist, and it's going to be a zombie apocalypse when it gets really sort of nasty, And then the only one that says will survive it is they just go down in their dumbs for a little while until they succumb too.
This whole thing is just it's lunacy. When you really think about it, it's just sheer lunacy.
Mm.
And the crazy thing is that in Israel, I mean, many of the Jews there are, Eastern European,
They are.
and they're converts. They're not the original DNA from the region.
You sound like an oy vey. You sound like an anti-Semite. Why are
Yeah,
you bringing up Khazarian Empire theory? You sound like a conspiracy theorist, you anti-Semite. What's the matter with you?
I'm
What's
just
the matter?
And you've
I'm
got to
just
Why are you
remember
bringing
that
up Khazar? Why are you
people
bringing
who
the Khazarian Empire? You
people
sound like
who
an anti-Semite. No, I know what you're getting at, though. But
yeah,
see,
'cause
this is the
people
gaslight I
convert.
get. Yeah, this is the gaslight I get from these people. They say for years, "Oh, Ivey, you sound like a conspiracy theorist." But then what do they want to do? They want to set up a fucking Patagonia in the Ukraine. They want to set up a freaking Israel in the Ukraine.
It's maddening. It really is.
They want to
And
set up a Israel in Patagonia too. And they have the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, which is in the Russian area, which is bordered by China and North Korea, and Russia.
mhm.
Oh no, we're conspiracy theorists and anti-Semites for saying the quiet part out loud.
See, and what they don't understand, what's not understood by a lot of people is that the region itself, when you look at West Asia, you've had different religions go through there. You have, when you go back to Canaan and all, you had paganism, you had Judaism, you had different religions, and you have a lot of people that converted. You know, you have the original Jews. Then they converted. You could say converted to Christianity, and some converted to Muslim. And you had people just wanted to stay on their land. So you had taxes. You have to pay increase in taxes unless you were a particular religion that was popular in the region at the time, or who was controlling the region at the time. So people converted. And the original DNA, and they've done that, the DNA testing and all, and the Palestinians and the Lebanese, different groups there, their DNA is Canaanite DNA. I mean, they are the original people from the region.
Gee, I'm going to have to hop off because my phone's overheating a bit, and I'm not going to have to.
Okay, well, thank you so much for spending your time here with me and chatting.
No, that's all right.
You have a
I'm
great
busy
day.
tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow, but Friday I'm free again, and the weekend. So
Okay.
it'll be. Yeah, I enjoyed chatting too. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of your show, and see you next time.
Yes, you have a good day.
Yes, thanks, Dave.
I'm reading this
Cheers.
comment. See you
too,
later,
bud.
Wayne.
See you in heaven one day.
I don't know if I'm going to heaven.
We'll be there soon. All the other places.
You guys may go to heaven. I don't know if I'm going to heaven or not. We'll see. Hopefully I am, but we'll see about it.
Hopefully.
We'll hang out in the spirit world.
Yeah. I may have to spend some time in purgatory before I go up.
Hang out in the spirit world, maybe start spooking people.
Yeah. Off topic, but Parliament, right now the lead off target, but talking about Parliament. That's when the Congress had a cross-party vote ruled Israel as a terrorist agent in Venezuela. Well, yeah, that's when Maduro was in power. I don't know how they're going to do that now when the new lady's in power.
She's got to listen to Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is the one that's controlling Venezuela right now.
Right. Well, yeah. That lady's listening to Rubio, and we all know how that's going down. She's going to listen to Rubio. She doesn't want to go down the way the Israel went, where Maduro went down. So, no, I'm glad Wayne held it down tonight. Though he was great.
Okay, it's just me and Harsh on now.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it down. Okay. Okay. Listen to this. Pentagon concedes no military plan can secure Strait of Hormuz as Trump seeks scapegoats. Well, we all know that. And the Hormuz deadlock frustrates Trump, prompting blame game on AIDS plus psychological war on Iran economy. Yeah, he's just flipping out like a baby in a playpen.
I mean, the guy had months to prove that he had the military might. And he didn't do it. So
No.
I mean, when most of your allies get bombed in the region and you don't do a fucking thing about it, what do you expect when people go against your orders? I mean, I'm sorry. You kind of got to earn it. I mean, the days of everyone being afraid of America and Israel are over. It's not a thing anymore.
No.
Man.
The whole
Well,
region.
Yeah. You're saying the whole region? Yeah.
Oh yeah, because the U.S., like we've said this before, that the U.S. is going to get kicked out of the region. And,
Yeah, they're basically on the way there.
Yeah. Wow. Coups, sanctions, wars, the staggering ledger of reparations U.S. owes Iran for decades of hostility. Oh, that's probably some article. I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to share it. But yeah, the U.S. owes a lot to Iran. I mean, Iran was always just minding its own business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Iran played for the long game for 45 years, and they did it well. Yeah, I mean, that's what they did. But, again, with the U.S., they just don't seem to understand any of this. It's like, well, they don't care. Maybe they want to crash the government and have a new world order. Which I don't even know or care at this point, but it's like, yeah, I hate it. I hate this world.
Mm.
But it's like, I'm not even surprised by it, because it's just, I mean, how do you let 40 of your allies, or like both the majority, I don't know how many countries are there, what are there, 40 countries in the Middle East?
Mm.
They got bombed by Iran, and then the U.S. is upset that they don't want to keep listening to them.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you hang your allies out to dry. I don't know. We live in a type of world where everyone just has like ridiculous freaking levels of themselves.
Right, and here again, this is trending in Gaza City that 6 Palestinians were killed, including a child and a large number of people injured, most of them children, in an Israeli airstrike targeting a cafe at Gaza's port city, west of Gaza City.
Well,
and what kind of ceasefire? What kind of ceasefire is this?
The Israelis, they don't even believe in ceasefire, so what are we talking about? The Israelis don't believe in ceasefires. That's just fiction to those people. I mean, the whole thing is just stupid. But, I mean, that's the Israelis for you, so what do you expect? I'm not even angry at all about this anymore, because all this shit is so fucking predictable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just find it funny that these morons basically allow their allies to get carpet bombed without any sort of retribution, but then somehow get upset when America says no. I don't get it.
I don't either.
How do you hang your allies out to dry and then complain about what America's doing?
I don't know. Yeah. You don't know what to say anymore to all of this. But, right now, the U.S. is just hanging there. It's just Trump won't admit. The administration is just coming out with a bunch of nonsense. And the whole world is on hold. Where trade is concerned and everything else.
Yeah.
See, and here we go again. And with this, in the West Bank, Israeli occupation forces stormed several Palestinian homes and blocked roads in the city of Al Daraya, south of Hebron, and occupied West Bank. So they've been doing this over and over again, and nobody's stopping them. I mean, Huckabee doesn't do anything. And what he doesn't understand, in a lot of the neighborhoods, in the West Bank, you have Christians in a lot of the neighborhoods. And there's Americans, there's Palestinian Americans.
Right.
And then the world keeps condemning, and it drives me crazy.
They keep condemning it. They don't do a fucking thing about it. That's why it's like stupid.
Right.
It's really dumb. That's why I don't even like. Oh, they condemn, now what? Like if Turkey forces NATO to join like their side against Israel, then that would actually be like groundbreaking. But if they're not gonna do that, then screw it.
Right, because basically Israel is the USA.
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
it's-
like it's yeah.
and this is why the Roma people were offered a place after World War II,
Correct.
and they turned Britain down because they
Right.
did not want to be put in a position of being with the ones that were abusing them.
Right.
And here, like you look at Israel right now, I just keep thinking about that with the Roma people.
Yeah.
So Israel, this whole plan with Zionism and the Christian Zionism, brainwashing generations of people. I mean, it's just horrible. Look at all the lives lost. These people are mad. They make these plans. Well, we can achieve our goals if we do this. It's brainwashing different populations to believe a certain thing. And then, the big lie that there was nobody there. A land without a people. Meanwhile, the place was populated. Well, here's Israel. Occupation strikes here in southern Lebanon. And, here you hear Netanyahu talking. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop until Hezbollah disarms. Why the hell should Hezbollah disarm? It drives me crazy.
Y'all know why they say that. They want Yemen and Lebanon to be in the same position as Syria. So
Yeah, have no weapons and we'll just bulldoze you.
yeah. I mean, Syria is going to be a part of Israel in about 3 years. That'll be part of Israel. They're going to be split up into 3 different countries. Yeah, there you go.
Something.
Yeah.
We got to see how things are going to come about, with Iran. Because you look at Iran and Yemen, you look at the different players in the region. Iran. They've got a plan. I know everybody wants action quickly and this, that, the other thing, but they think strategically and plan. Something the U.S. doesn't do at all. And there you go again with Israel launches multiple airstrikes at 3 different locations in southern Lebanon. And I don't. Then they complain because they're losing lives. Israel's losing soldiers and everything. Well, if you just keep your soldiers to yourself, you.
Yeah. I don't know why Israel complains about losing soldiers and don't even use their soldiers to fight actual battles.
Right.
It's like if they're losing soldiers in places like Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, and Yemen, it's like, well, they're just fucking retarded. They're just pretty shitty at their jobs. I'm sorry to say that. Oh, man, I'm tired. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing is so stupid. That's why I don't even. That's why it's hard for me to even do these podcasts. It's like, what are we going to talk about that we already don't know?
Right, but people just like updates on stuff. So
I
here
don't
we
know.
have,
In your case, you got to keep it up. But I'm saying, like, for me in general, it's like,
right. So
what
here
am
we
I going to
go.
talk? Yeah.
Here's Bethlehem, in the occupied West Bank. Guess what? Here you have it. Another journalist is abducted. Just like we saw in Gaza, and they've done this before in the West Bank. You gotta, they abduct journalists. And, oh, the word condemn most likely is going to come out. But is anybody going to do anything? That's where the problem is. That's why it infuriates me with this whole condemnation thing. Enough with the common condemning. Do something.
Yep.
Do something.
Mhm.
Oh, and sometimes when I think about these thugs, the illegal Israeli settlers, has here that they're shining a laser beam at Palestinians' homes um, in a town east of Nablus in occupied West Bank. Now, could you imagine if um, real gangs came in from other countries that are really street gangs came in? That would scare the hell out of these
Oh, absolutely.
because these settlers are just a bunch of wimps. They act all tough because they have the IOF there, or they have weapons and the Palestinians don't. Let them face some real thugs, really some real street gangs.
Yeah.
This makes them tough. They fire sound grenades and tear gas while storming the town south of Bethlehem. Oh, you're real tough. I mean, it's disgusting. In the occupied West Bank, Bethlehem, well, south of Bethlehem. So this is, all Christian areas, and it's like, oh, where's Mike Huckabee? Where are all the Christians? Oh, here he is, Ben Gvir.
Oh God.
Israel's far-right minister Itamar Ben Gvir has unveiled the construction of an execution facility to hang Palestinian prisoners, fitted with viewing booths for spectators to watch. He's a sick, sick, sick man. But really, it's a sick society that you're bragging that you have viewing booths for spectators to watch. It's sick.
Yeah, it really is. I wish they allowed those gators to be implemented.
Yeah, Ben Gvir's got plenty of meat on him.
I would, yeah, exactly. I wish they allowed those to be implemented. We all could have just seen them get killed. It would have been awesome.
Oh, look at this as a poll. Only 5% of Britons want the UK to allow more Israeli migrants into the country,
Oh, they're finally learning.
while 23% want fewer and another 24% want none at all.
Oh, they finally got it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it says 55% of Britain oppose Israel's genocide. 82% of those respondents saying Israel is committing genocide. Israelis become Britain's second least wanted migrants.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, the Hind Rajab Foundation has filed a criminal complaint in India against an Israeli soldier, citing his involvement in the systematic destruction of Palestinian homes and civilian infrastructure
Job, yeah. Oh wow,
from India.
that is interesting.
Yeah, it said the foundation says that the soldiers' unit carried out extensive demolitions in Abasan al Sagiri, east of Khan Yunis, in March to April of 2024. HRF says satellite imagery, verified footage, and open source intelligence support allegations of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and acts of genocide. So, wow, against an Israeli soldier in India. Okay. But this is what people were saying too, um, when they were seeing different soldiers, and they were seeing the facial appearances of people, and they're like, "Wait a minute, how can they be Israeli?" Especially when they're seeing soldiers, say from China or like I say, India, because people in people's minds, they're so used to seeing Israel and seeing Eastern Europeans, and it's just really weird because um, when you go centuries back to the beginning, they were darker skinned. Oh, here's Evelina. What does Evelina says? Off time. Oh, you talked about that. Okay. Israeli occupation forces stormed the village of Deir Abu Mashal, occupied West Bank. See, around the clock they're doing this. And they've been doing this over and over and over again, and nobody's stopping them. That is what's so infuriating. Nobody is stopping them. And here in Gaza, the alleged ceasefire that never was. Here, people are grieving their family. Palestinians grieve family members killed in the Israeli drone attack that targeted a Gaza port cafe today. The attack killed 6 Palestinians, including women and children, and left more than a dozen wounded, some critically. You wonder if major media are showing this. Most likely they're not. I mean, this is horrific every day. Something horrible's happened. Somebody's being killed. I mean, this is terrible. And nobody's stopping Israel. It's infuriating. You're like, where is the world? Where is the world leaders? Where are the world leaders? And here they are again. Israeli occupation forces bulldozing Palestinian land in the Al-Baqi Plain in the northern Jordan Valley. Every single day they're storming areas. They're assaulting Palestinians. And here's another place in the occupied West Bank. Israeli occupation forces stormed the village of Udla, occupied West Bank, and assault Palestinians. And nobody stops them. You're like, where is the world to stop Israel? Where is the world to stop it? I mean, war crime after war crime. Oh. Israeli occupation forces detain Palestinian and force him to clear a road blocked by residents, removing stones to facilitate the passage of Israeli forces and settlers. Terrible. They just can't leave people alone. Nobody does anything. Nobody's doing anything to stop Israel. People I mean, the world, people around the world are infuriated. And they want to see world leaders do something to stop Israel. This has been going on for so long. And nobody's doing anything. And here, Israeli occupation forces attack a Palestinian family's home in Silwan and occupy Jerusalem as the family faces forced displacement to clear the land for colonial Israeli settlers to seize their home. Now, Madeline and I did a show when the people were dealing with the legal system where their home was concerned. And this is all illegal, but of course, the court's always going to, for the most part, a lot of the court sides with Israel. I mean, this is just sickening. I'm like, where is the world? They're saying that this is East Jerusalem. They're saying it's Palestinian territory. So Israel has no right to be there. Israel has no right to be in Gaza. They have no right to be in the West Bank at all. I mean, the ICJ had come out with that and telling them to leave, and they don't, and nobody enforces it. Nobody. It's infuriating. Who is going to enforce this? You know, Israel knows that they have to follow international law, just as everybody else does. I mean, the U.S. has to follow international law as well. I mean, all these problems is because Israel cannot follow international law. And this is Aberdeen activists protest outside home bargains over its stocking of Israeli goods, highlighting its complicity in Israel's attacks against Palestinian children and Gaza's education systems. As families in Aberdeen prepare for a new school year, activists drew attention to more than 21,000 Palestinian children killed by Israel's attacks on Gaza over the past 3 years, many of whom were killed before they were even old enough to start school. The protesters also called on shoppers to boycott Israeli products sold at Home Bargains, and choose alternatives instead. Okay, let me see. Harsh, are you still there? I see you've got your mic off. Okay. I think I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. And, we just all have to stay together. And I always say we're all Palestinians. We are all Palestinians. When you look at the world leaders, human life doesn't matter. You see what's been going on in Gaza, what goes on in East Jerusalem, the West Bank. Don't think that couldn't happen to your town. And the one thing that gets me too is in the U.S., you have all these people that are always screaming about their gun rights and their gun rights and their gun rights. But yet they'll be the ones to be commenting, making statements that Hamas and Hezbollah, that they have to disarm. Oh, there'll be peace if they disarm. And when I always come back at these people saying, if somebody was going to invade your neighborhood, they want to take over your state. Oh, so what would you do? Right, and these people are like, oh, what would they do? They would use their guns. They would, they would fight for their area and all this, they go on and on and on. But yet, for some reason, when it comes to Lebanon and Palestine, they think nothing, that's what they're experiencing. That they're experiencing other people wanting to come into their land and take their property. They're standing up for their property the same as you would stand up for your property. People have to understand that. Whereas if Hamas is disarmed, if Hezbollah is disarmed, that just means Israel can just bulldoze all those areas and to hell with the people that make it much easier for Israel to claim the land and ethnically cleanse the region. You know, European history, right? That's European history. We see it in the US, right? The natives, there's no value to human life. So don't think that if your neighborhood, your area where you live is wanted by, as Iran calls them, the Epstein class, that what you see what's happening in Lebanon, you see what's happening in Palestine, that it's not going to happen to your neighborhood. Don't think it can happen to you. When it comes to starving people to death, not providing health care for people, these people, they don't care about you. You will be slaughtered the same as people in all these other countries. That the Epstein class decides that they want resources from a particular area, they want something from a particular area. So to hell with the people that live there, create a story, and just wipe out the people. Yeah, it can happen to you. It can happen to anybody. And that's what's something I've been noticing in the United States. When we look at different fires and different areas, go look to see what the interest is in that area. Who's interested in property there? What are they looking for? And you'll find some of these areas, you've got the data centers. Some of them, they want to build those smart cities. We talk about eminent domain laws where things would be done legally. Oh, why bother with that? Let's just have a fire, have something go through the region, and then we'll just take it over. So the people just have to pack up and leave, and because they don't care. They don't care about you or me. So let's just try to stay together as a family, just try to stand up for each other, be there for each other, share information. And that's the best thing we can do is share information. Because a lot of people will say, especially like they're older and they can't do much. Well, just being on social media, sharing information, that's a lot. That's information that there's many people that don't have knowledge of that information. So you're sharing information. That's important. And I know that other people. I know Wayne goes out and he likes to protest. He's able to protest. People do whatever you can. That's what needs to be done. Everybody does what they can do, and it all makes and it's all important, and it makes a change. It helps make change. And here, Evelina says, that is the sheer truth, D, already underway at home. Yeah, in Argentina, where you're at. Land theft, yeah. That's why, we all didn't want the right wing leaders in because we know what they want to do. It's all about land theft. They think they can take whatever they want, and human life has no value at all. It's heartbreaking. It really is. It's heartbreaking. And there are so many people, I see in my comment sections on social media that they're so upset with everything. Yes, so many people. I know I'm upset, and so many people are upset. They're infuriated. They wish they could do something. But just sharing information on social media, if that's what you can do, you do it. That makes a big difference. You're writing elected officials. Every little bit helps. So later on, Wednesday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be on with Donardi. And Donardi usually likes to cover elections. Oh, yeah, the U.S. is also home, yes. That's what she says. Okay, land theft, I mean the U.S., which is also home. Okay, Evelina, yeah. Yeah, the U.S. Is in bad shape. Um, we look at just all over for different storms, the fires, and then, like I say, you do your research, and then you see, well, this was what their intention was. They want to, build trains through here. They want a smart city. They want AI data centers. It's just, it's awful. It really is. But as we spoke about earlier, too, the U.S. always was violent. Violent history. The government wants something. It doesn't matter. The land's there. Just get rid of the people there so they can get what they want. And it's really a horrific history. And here we see it today. Yeah, and they're doing it all over the world. We want, so we're going to do this to you. We're going to do that to you. We look at biological warfare where the population is concerned. They want to get rid of certain people. It's just horrific all the way around. So, anyways, like I said, I got to get going. I'll be back with Denardi at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday evening. And most likely, Denardi is going to want to talk about elections. So, thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate that. And let's just keep doing what we're doing, sharing information, talking about what's going on worldwide. We're all doing the best we can. So, free Palestine. I still, try to keep the focus on Palestine, because I know there's a lot going on everywhere. Let's just not you care about what's going on in Palestine, but you're seeing stuff happening, Latin America, and just in all different countries and everywhere. Yes, we share information about everywhere, but let's always make sure we, include Palestine, because I think that's what, those on top, they want you to try to stick Palestine to the side. The U.S. wants to take it all over. Basically, you say Israel, they want the whole Middle East. But yeah, you got to keep the focus there as well as everywhere else. And Evelina, thank you. She says, good show. Thanks. Thank you so much, Evelina. I love having you here. And I will see you later on at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you and good night. Peace out. Peace in the world. Thank you and good night.